Stop beating your gums and sound the attack.
Oh, right. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the We Got the Chocolates podcast. This is Lee, and bringing you in with another classic piece of music, which we love. Boys, how are you? Mitch, Haz, great to be here.
Hey Lee, hey listeners out there.
G'day everyone, I'm good, thank you Lethal, how are you?
Outstanding, actually. You know why, Skinnon?
No, please tell me.
Happy Merchandise Day, boys. Happy Merchandise Day. They are absolutely just released. We're sitting here at just after 9, further after 9 than Haz would like. But merchandise is out and about. And running off the shelves, I must say.
Yeah. Now, you're not wearing one of our merchandise shirts, but this song actually goes with that shirt, I reckon. It's quite colourful as a song out there.
Well, would you like to know what it is, Haz?
I do.
This is Skander by Blue Lemonade.
Okay.
So, not the worst, actually.
Yeah, right.
Been pretty happy with it in terms of a hype building song.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like
very-
it's more meant for like a club than a podcast, but that's all right.
Oh, is that not one and the same these days, Skinnle? Now that we've got the merchandise, they're pretty much just the next step. Who knows what it is? We could be opening a nightclub when we're allowed to outside the house.
This is where great ideas come from.
Yeah, that's exactly. That is how podcasts work. Great news. In all seriousness, though, merchandise is out now.
Yep.
There is only limited stock available. Obviously, we're small fry. We didn't have a huge amount of money as a down payment. We've got the Tightest of All Time competition running at the same time. So, obviously, we went to buy a little bit more, has stopped us.
Not true this time.
So, we would recommend that, by the time you hear this, it's probably going to be all gone. So, get in before then, I would suggest. What else have we got here, guys? What else do we need to do? It's an exciting episode, I would suggest. It is episode number 43. We have got plenty of TOAT nominations. They've been coming in thick and fast, and we're going to sort of play a few of those. We've also got a first experiment with playing some audio that was recorded outside of the studio. So that should be an interesting little concept. But to kick us off, I think, you've actually prepared some material, which always makes me nervous because you're an intelligent guy and you spend a lot of time. So I feel like it could stitch me up quite a bit. You're right. Obviously, we would never do that, though. We cannot get started in this particular podcast or show without people knowing how do we do it. And what I mean by how do we do it is how do they get the energy to still be there at 9:23 p.m. on a Monday and just still spitting such absolute genius sentences. I was going to say dross, but I feel like that didn't talk myself up. Yeah, that's right. And the reason that we can do that is obviously due to Alchemy Cordials Australia. So just stay aware of our show notes and you'll see a link to them.
Indeed, great idea.
Thank you.
Now, I thought I came across a few articles where some sites had quizzed a lot of people out there, seeing what their thoughts were on certain topics relating to sport, of course. And the first one I wanted to bring to your attention and ask you guys to see if your thoughts are the same as these people. You haven't seen their answers, so I'm going to ask you guys what your answers would be.
You've actually done so well to keep this secret, considering we have one document usually that we work from.
Yeah.
So it's very good.
I've read the show notes and don't know what's happening.
This one's a little bit related to a previous episode. I think it was our last standard episode, and we were talking about sports. Were they sports? Were they not sports because they're boring or whatnot? And this one is the list of the top 30 most boring sports in the world.
Most boring sports, okay.
So I probably gave it away there that some sports that some people might not count as sport and some people do.
And that's a debate that's going to keep raging, isn't it, on this podcast?
So there's not too many that are off the cards in this list.
There's cards on the list.
Maybe some card games in there.
Okay,
but what do you guys reckon? What are the top, you can say, put together your top 5 or...
So we're going most boring sports.
Most boring.
Oh, most boring sports, okay.
Well, if we're going more like recreational, I would say that people would actually put cricket in it.
Yeah, that's true.
Top 5.
I think a lot of people would.
Yeah, well, cricket comes in at number 2.
It does,
that's
okay.
up there.
What's more boring than cricket?
Golf? Like croquet.
Oh, yeah, fair.
What did you say, Lee?
I said golf.
Yeah, well, golf is number 1.
Golf is number 1. Golf, cricket.
Croquet, I don't think it's in the top 30 there. So
well done, Skinner. That's good. Good knowledge by you.
Exciting sport.
It's boring. Maybe just too niche.
Yeah, I've got the top 1 and 2, and you have skipped out top 30.
Sure. We've still got 3, 4, and 5. Do you want me to give them to you, or do you want to?
No. Wait a second.
Wait a second.
Yeah. I reckon. Oh, this is maybe rogue though. I think swimming is boring as heck.
I think surely that's not in the top anywhere, is it?
got to be
I
in the
agree. I agree with you, but
No.
people froth.
Not even in the top 30.
It's not in the top 30.
Especially we're
There's,
talking about
well,
Australian people.
diving rounds out at number 30. Diving's sort of like a swimming-based thing, obviously. I don't know. They dive
How
into
is
the water.
diving more boring than swimming? At least they do like cool triple somersaults and stuff.
Yeah, it's over a bit quicker, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, true.
No, I'm a bit rattled here. I've had a massive mind blank after the probably stimulation of getting the first 1 and 2 and then Skinner failing miserably.
Yeah,
That was
I'm
a
struggling.
huge victory for this side of the fence.
I might no. I'll have one last crack and go badminton. But even then, I feel like that's not a boring.
I love
sport,
watching
really, is it?
badminton. Yeah.
It's
What
just
does
no,
not-
chess
it's just
come?
not
He
on
said that
often.
there were sports that don't count as sports. So is chess in there?
Chess is 4. There's
Yeah.
no badminton. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. Well, what other sports
Shut
do
up.
we
I'm
have
having a
debate?
minute.
Like table tennis?
You're going pretty well,
But
Lee.
table tennis is exciting.
Oh, I
That's
actually
not a
love it.
boring
I'm not saying it's
Table
my
tennis
boring sport.
isn't in there, but people have tennis as number 19.
Yeah, it's a bit stiff on tennis, I would have
That
thought.
is, yeah.
We'll probably get into that debate later as well.
Yeah. So we got number 3 is bridge.
What is
What the
that?
frick is
I
bridge?
think it's like a card game.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's a card game. And then number 5 is snooker.
Ah, yeah, okay.
so,
I can
yeah.
cop that. That's actually a very good list.
Yeah.
I don't have
I've
too
had
many
a mare
debates.
there, but that is a good list in hindsight.
I've
I
never
should
heard
have known
of
that.
bridge, so I
Yeah.
would have struggled with that one. But apart from that, I can.
Yeah, there's some interesting
Happy
ones in
with
there.
my
Super
achievements.
bike racing at 27. I don't think it's too boring watching
Sorry?
superbikes.
Superbikes.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
not boring.
enjoy it, but they're high action.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, interesting list. The next one I've got is the sports with the most injuries worldwide. Now we've got total number of injuries, or you've
Yeah.
got percentages and different age brackets we can go through. But obviously, the most injuries are going to be pretty popular sports.
Yeah, that's what I
worldwide.
was
So, what do you reckon that the top 3, top 1 if you want, but sports for injuries is worldwide?
Well, I'm thinking, Lethal, since you've dominated, let me have a crack at this one.
Okay.
I might embarrass myself again, but I'll try. I'm thinking most popular sport would have to be football, like soccer. And I'm thinking if you're playing soccer, you've got to be pretty prone to injury. I've seen a lot of snapped legs and not very nice things happening there. So that's my first guess. How's it gone?
That's number 3.
All right, I'll take
So
that.
yeah,
Happy with
that's
number
pretty good guess. Yeah.
So because this is worldwide, isn't it? Because I know, like, how has you as a physio, I think you've mentioned a few times that netball is horrific for knee injuries and stuff, but I can't see it being in the top 3.
Maybe
Can
in terms
I?
of
No,
percentages.
netball's not actually
No.
in the top 10 or even.
Okay.
But there's a similar one. There's a
welcome,
I'll give you the hint that the number 1 is similar to netball.
Basketball.
Basketball.
Yeah, basketball
Is it
is
really?
number 1, and I guess there is a lot of high
Yeah.
speed, change of direction stuff there. So
I've seen one
So-
horrific injury in basketball actually at school, like just knee damage.
Oh.
So
and basketball is
okay.
massive in Asia and those sort of countries as
Yeah,
well.
that's
So
true.
that makes sense to me. Then there's some more recreational like sports in there that aren't because people do recreation as their sport or exercise instead of.
can't imagine skydiving would be great if something goes wrong. Probably leads to a few injuries.
Yeah, but I think things would go wrong pretty rarely.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You would like
You would
to
hope.
Yeah.
Probably don't hear too much about what went wrong for
Yeah,
them.
yeah, good point.
So number 2 they've got is bicycle riding. So
They actually say bicycle.
it says bicycle riding.
That makes it sound like such a
Yeah,
fancy
just a-
sport.
I guess people hurt themselves a lot riding their bike around, and that's their
Okay.
exercise or sport.
I would just
Surely
say at
like
least
cycling.
but
or like-
Yeah,
How do you
cycling.
cycling?
Yeah.
Cycling. I'd cop like mountain bike riding or something. Like,
They probably put them together.
if you're
so
riding on
probably
flat
adding
ground, surely
those
you're not
sort of
injuring
things.
yourself.
If you get hit by a car, it can't be great for you.
That would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars. Okay.
I don't know if they
count
count
that?
like back injuries from bending over the whole time or what
Oh,
it
yeah.
might be, but
Poor posture counts as an injury, maybe.
Yeah.
yeah, what leads from that? But anyway, let's go to some categories. What's the highest injury percentage sports for those 65 years and older? So what sports do they get injured in the most?
I'm going to say
We've got the top 3 here.
65 and over.
What sports are they playing that they're getting injured in?
I think it'd be more muscle related. So like lawn bowls.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
or golf.
Yeah.
Golf.
Yeah,
Golf is
yeah.
number 1.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes
I've
sense.
actually got an interesting point on lawn bowls. I'll read it later. It's not in that top 3, but
Ah, damn. Okay.
What else do
Old people,
parts
what do they play?
Maybe croquet.
Go with croquet. That's on no list.
Tennis, do they have a
bridge.
crack at tennis?
yes, tennis. You're right.
Oh,
Tennis
yeah.
is number 2. And interesting, you won't get number 3. Number 3 is fishing.
What?
Yeah.
They get bitten by a fish.
Well, I don't know what they do, but they get hooked. They hook themselves, or they throw their shoulder out trying to cast a line. I'm not sure, but and
Fishing.
let's go to the other end of the spectrum. The highest injury percentage for those 5 years and younger. What sports are they playing that's injuring them?
Gymnastics.
Well, the similar one. Number 1 is trampolining.
Okay, yeah, I'll
Okay.
take that.
So, but probably more like a
Well
backyard trampoline, I'm sure, than
5
proper
years and
gymnastics.
younger. What do people
what are
even
you
play
doing?
when they're 5 years and younger? Equestrian.
What?
Surely
What?
not.
Yes, no.
That was pretty rugged.
What was I playing at 5? I would have been playing soccer. Football.
Well, no. Well, probably a hazardous one that isn't hazardous for most people, but is for 5 years and under is swimming. So swimming.
Yeah, that's pretty
Swimming
fair.
is
that's
there.
not great.
And,
I wouldn't have counted that as an injury, like
Well,
water on the lungs. But anyway,
yeah, I don't know. And the third one is what I said before as well: bike riding. Maybe
Jeez.
trying to learn to
got the
ride.
training wheels on, you idiots.
And then which sports have the highest percentage of concussion injuries in them? So out of all their injuries, which ones are concussion based percentage wise?
NRL.
What about like MMA?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That should probably be there, but it's not there.
Like boxing or something. It's something like that. Sure.
Yeah.
Count?
Well, boxing's not in there. You'd think it would be.
No one gets knocked out in boxing, I guess. What a ridiculous answer. It has to be some code of football.
I've actually got
then.
6 here. Rugby is there. Rugby is actually number 6 percentage wise. These percentages are quite close between these ones.
Okay.
Rugby's number 6. I guess there's a lot of other injuries in rugby too, which I alluded to a bit.
Yep.
Number 1 is actually ice hockey.
Oh.
Apparently a lot of concussions, a lot of collisions there in ice hockey.
Yeah, mine.
Is that from the sport?
I had
or
a
the
very
bibs?
short ice hockey career. It might shock you to know, Has, so I'm not too in the know
There you
about
go.
what goes on there.
Another one to do with ice and snow is number 2 is snowboarding.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Followed by one you wouldn't have got either is water tubing. Apparently,
Tubing.
a lot of people get concussed
Isn't that like, oh, okay, yeah.
behind a boat. You know,
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
get hit a
right,
bump
got
and
you.
fly
Yeah,
up
okay.
into the air.
Yeah.
And number 5, lacrosse.
Oh, that didn't
Lacrosse.
cross my mind either.
So that was there. But saying all this about injuries, you mentioned lawn bowls before, and I'm not sure it's the most credible site because it then goes on to say that lawn bowls is a really popular game, but a most dangerous sport as well. This game is the highest death claimer worldwide. The players are deeply involved in game to their last breath. They stop at nothing short of victory in their pursuit. Those who escape death end up with bruises, torn knees, broken hips, and bone
You
fractures.
sure this isn't off like the Batuta Advocate or something? Like just a full satirical article.
Has to be.
But yeah,
Sounds like Tim Minchin wrote it.
but it does say it's nail biting. But I guess a lot of people playing lawn bowls are on their last legs. That's what they do in sport.
yeah,
that's
that's true.
a sport that the elderly do. But,
boy.
but yeah,
It's fantastic. Are you right, Hazel?
yeah, that's it.
Moving on. That's very,
Thank
very
you.
good. Thank you. That's outstanding. Now, Skinnell, this is
Yep.
the segment where we are going to attempt to play some audio that we've captured away from the desk, the podcasting studio, you might say. So this is essentially giving you some context and how it worked here. Mother's Day, a couple of weeks ago on a Sunday. Haz was obviously with his mother, so we couldn't capture the audio from him. But Skinnell and I were roped into trekking up a mountain, basically. I mean, they call it bushwalking, but it's in quite an incline, so it's not really a leisurely walk, I wouldn't say. Mum's probably grinded us down about it for a long time, about how we should embrace it and love walking. And to give some context, we used to go on holiday and Mum would always have this brilliant idea of waking up at 5 a.m. to go for a walk, which we thought was the worst idea ever. And we seem to get dragged along on those type of things. And well, I can't speak on behalf of Mitch, but I always found that like I played enough sport where I ran after things that were interesting, a ball, or got some interest in actually chasing the object. Yep. Why would I just go for like a walk for no reason? And that's sort of always been my attitude.
People ask me every now and then on weekends, like, you want to go like climb this mountain or something? I'm like, no, I don't want to do physical activity on my day off. I want to have a rest. Like I've been playing sport all week. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. So Skin, is there anything you would add to that?
No, I'm on the same page. I can't understand walking for the sake of walking.
So you can see that we were fairly negative with our frame of mind, but obviously given that it's Mother's Day, we decided if there's one time that we can probably just, I guess, give a little bit in this scenario, then it'll be Mother's Day. So we packed up and we went with Mum, and essentially, if I can just grab the harp sound, this is how it went. Rightio, obviously Mother's Day. We've come for a walk here with Dizzle, and we've got 6 steps in, and Ruby, the dog, has decided to, for want of a better term, drop feces everywhere. early doors, which is exactly what you're after. Skinner, how's your walking experience been so far?
Yeah, been good. Looking forward to carrying that around in a plastic bag for the remainder of the 2-hour trek.
We thought we were coming for a quick half an hour walk, and then as it turns out, we're actually just depositing it back in the environment.
Compostable bag, Diz. I'll just leave it there. We'll find it on the way back.
There's no chance we're finding it.
We did find it.
We actually did find it. Rightio, 2 minutes further into the trip, and we've also managed to have another one, another one of the touring party has got their excrete out into the environment. Skinnled has gone.
No.
Very early.
Guilty. Sorry, Az.
Bit of a drive to get there,
was
it?
not appreciated by
Plenty of trees
Eloise.
around.
Eloise, can you give us some feedback on your experience there?
Well, probably when you're doing a whiz in the bush, don't face everyone so they can see your wiener.
I was more worried about facing away from the
Eloise
group
got
behind
a
us.
face full of skins from Simone Falmer Wiener.
Sorry, Wiz.
There we go. Well, we're now half an hour into the Mother's Day walk. Skinnled leading from the front and looking very strong up the front. We've come across a couple of inclines that were reasonably steep. I'm starting to question how people actually find this good fun. I can see the physical benefits, but really struggling to understand why on a Sunday, the day of rest, people would like to go and put themselves in this predicament. Rattling me.
I'm feeling pretty lost, dude.
Just here with race leader Skin, and we've come to once again one of these forks in the road where we never seem to have any idea where we're going. Eloise is pointing left, which seems ideal. I feel like Mum is going to point up, which seems to be really the main theme of the day. Go higher. Correct.
Anyone bring down,
Well, everyone, we've essentially reached the pinnacle of mountain climbing up here. It's pretty good, to be fair. There's a lot of trees that you can see in the clearing, so if you're into that type of thing, then you'll really love it. Can recommend. You can see Moreton Bay as well. Dizzle wants you to know. A couple of key findings. We have probably the world's silliest dog for this particular reason. Skin, can you outline why that is?
Well, she's 14 years old. Struggles to walk for half an hour on flat. She's just trekked up a reasonable sized mountain for a 14-year-old dog. You would think she'd worked out that we also have to walk back, so she'd be taking a bit of a break, having a spell, but no, she's quite excited, running around, using up the last of her energy, and then you can lock it in that I'll be carrying her home.
She's planning on calling an Uber, which is a real shame. Aside from that, fairly successful. Picnic time. Eloise's shoes are white, so she's pretty flat and haven't heard much from her. Wise words with Wiz.
Considering they started black, white's not a good outcome.
So everyone in really just chirpy spirits up here. Thank you, Dizzle, for bringing us on the Mother's Day walk. Look forward to next year. There you go. Let's get on to some TOAT nominations.
Yeah, so I've had a couple of actually anonymous nominations come in. They didn't want to have a name put to it, so I'll read them out. The first nomination is for Michael Nessa, fellow Queensland Bulls player, plays for the Adelaide Strikers and the Australian squads at the moment. You know, a few recent squads touring as a backup bowler. And
can you tell us which squad the nomination was from, or even that's really anonymous?
No, it's anonymous. I'll leave it as anonymous.
We'll say it was Adelaide Strikers.
So it is for refusing to take the toll road through the tunnel to get to a Sheffield Shield match at the Gabba for Queensland to save himself $4 and therefore taking himself 60 minutes longer to get to the ground.
Perfect.
The
That's good. That's a TOAT nomination.
Morning of the game.
TOAT 11.
You probably want to get there a bit quicker. But anyway, the second one, another cricketer, of course, and that is Nathan Reardon. Was a very good player in his time, Rito. Mm-hmm. And again, another anonymous one. This is for Rito, refusing to buy coffee for the boys, instead offering them a blend 23. So basically, I just wanted to make them coffee. Is that
like a pre? But that's not even
like
good coffee. That's like an instant.
Yeah, like an instant coffee. Yeah.
So it's not one of the We Got the Chocolates barista specials.
Okay. No. And I just sort of wanted to point out that Gemma Barsby should be an automatic nomination, as Delissa Cummins told us about how she takes her own vinegar to breakfast at cafes and only buys home brand products way back in episode 22. So I thought automatic nomination.
Absolutely.
And I've also had another nomination for Bryce Street come in from someone else, another anonymous one, for smashing free food at the Queensland Cricket Recovery Kitchen every day. So Streety does love to get that free food in, and I don't blame him. I'm there sometimes as well.
Sometimes. It's a real shock, Haz. Perfect. Well, Haz, we've actually, via the website also, we that we have been offering sort of the speak pipe service so people can record their audio and we can play it straight onto the podcast here. And Skin and I have been, and you actually, we've all three of us have been trawling through them, really trying to stay on top of them because sometimes they do come in thick and fast. I know you find that hard to believe, but they can be hard to stay on top of. And you probably see why soon. A couple of people may be doubling up, to be confirmed. But basically, we've gone through and tried to choose one of our favourites ourselves. And Skin, my first choice is, well, it's about
we
you.
got the chocolates, boys. It's Bays here. I got a little nomination for the TOAT 11, actually. And funny enough, it happens to be Skin. I got a nice gift from my lovely girlfriend, would have been last year or so, a little keep cup, a little nice coffee keep cup. Kind of like a ceramic one, quite cool. Had it for a while. Anyway, one day I've come home, Skinnell said, look, mate, I've broken your keep cup. Oh, sweet, no worries, Skinnell, all good. Yeah, just dropped it, trying to move a few things in the kitchen, dropped it. No worries, mate, I'll get you a new one. Yeah, cool, sweet, $30, shouldn't be hard, all good. Sweet as. And then a couple of days later, or it might even have been a week, 2 weeks later, I said, I don't know what I said. I mentioned something about the keep cup, I think, and he said, oh, yeah, sorry, mate, I'm actually going to fix it. What do you mean, mate? Like, I don't really want any super glue in me flat white each morning, if that's all right. No. I'm actually gonna use gold. I want to use some gold to fix it. Well, what do you mean, gold? Yeah, no, like melted gold. Like I've found out that it's like a thing. You melt gold and kind of like fix it.
How is that save money?
Yeah, okay, mate. Yeah, righto. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, welcome to. Yeah, all good. So anyway, yeah, I think we're about 8 months past that chat, and keep cup's still sitting on the shelf broken, and I think Skinnell's been still mining for that gold. So if you see anyone down Wellington Point area with a shovel and a spade and a metal detector, it's just Mitchell looking for gold. Cheers, boys. See ya.
Good. Skinnell, thank you, Baisley. Yeah, no, absolutely guilty there. I'm glad you pulled me up on that, Baz. I do owe you an apology for that, and I owe you a keep cup, so I need to hurry up and get that. But yeah, I would argue that it's not really to save money, given I was for a few seconds planning on buying gold and a kiln to do it. It's more it's this cool like Japanese art form, and it's meant to have some nice deep meaning, and you fix broken things with gold and they look better afterwards. That was my plan, but yeah, obviously
hope it's not charging you interest.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good thing, and like it sounds really impressive skill, but you may need to actually do it.
Yeah, it was a nice idea. The fact that it's taken me 8 months is less nice, so I might end up just going down to First Coffee and grabbing your one, if that's all right, Baz.
Perfect. Now, Haz, you came across one as well?
Had a nomination from Adam Hollioake, as we like to call him, Smokes, and we had him on the podcast episode 31, but he has sent in a nomination. I reached out and this is what he came up with.
So the guys at We Got the Chocolates asked me to give a story or say who I think's the tightest person in cricket. I've thought so long and hard about this, and I cannot come up with anyone other than myself. I don't know if any of you guys know, but I live on the Gold Coast and I've got to go to Brisbane every day. That involves going through the Clem Jones Tunnel. Now, it knocks a good 15 minutes off my drive, but it costs $5.30. And I've got an alter ego called Dave. I have a conversation with Dave, and I have to say, have you earned it today, Dave? Do you deserve to go through the tunnel? No, you don't. You haven't done enough. So I don't end up going through the tunnel. There's not a day that goes by where I end up going through. I think I've been through it about 3 or 4 times in a 2-year contract. So if that ain't tight, I don't know what is. I can't think of anyone tighter than myself.
I tell you what, it sounded like he was like at an airport or something. The background noise, there was like a jet taking off. But very, very good. Another self-nomination has.
We love some honesty there.
Yeah, we have seen some good self-nominations.
Yeah,
Skinner, what did you come up with?
What did I come up with? Well, I didn't come up with much, but had an audio file from Luke Feldman, who's doubled up. I think we've heard from him
already. I don't think
already.
it actually was Luke Feldman, Skinner.
Was it not?
No.
Oh.
Hello, we got the chocolates. Fook Lelbin here, long time listener, first time caller. I have a nomination for the tightest of all time 11. He's on your panel, Sam Haslett. I have it on good authority that on a tour with the Queensland Bulls, housekeeping forgot to replace a washing powder sachet, which left Sam in a dilemma. So he had nothing to wash his clothes with. So instead of walking down to the local IGA and spending $3.50 on washing powder, Sam decided to use the free sachet of dishwashing liquid to wash his clothes, which resulted in him foaming up all his clothes and it spilling out of the washing machine into the hotel room.
Guilty as charged, has?
Look, it may have slipped my mind because I just, I'm so embarrassed about it that I made myself forget about it. I don't remember that exact occasion. Now, I've certainly used shampoo in the past instead of washing powder for my clothes. Yeah, guilty. I'm definitely not going to go down to the local store and buy some washing powder for a 5-day trip. I can't remember it overflowing and bubbling onto the floor. I wouldn't put it past myself to use dishwashing powder, but I can't remember doing it.
That's perfect. Now, boys, we were only meant to choose one each, but I threw another one in, which I think you'll appreciate. We're going to speak to this man straight after this, actually. But I also got a nomination from Andrew Gode.
Hey, guys. Firstly, can I say the irony isn't lost on anyone that Lee and Haz are hosting a podcast trying to mention who's the tightest. I mean, that's irony if I've ever seen it. But I'd like to second Luke Feldman's nomination for the tightest 11 with another nomination for Jimmy Spargo. Great bloke, Jimmy, but missed more shouts than Steve Buckner in the 2005 Ashes. Cheers.
Ging, that's a way with words.
That's a way with words. And we're going to hear a few more words from him right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, we did think that the last nomination that you've just heard there in our tightest of all time list of nominations was actually worthy of having a chat to this man on the phone. If you're a regular listener of the show, you'll know that we've spoken to him a couple of times. He'd definitely be our most routine guest. So I'm hoping that Andrew Gode actually joins us right now. Andrew, have we got you there?
You've got me loud and clear, boys. How are we?
Very well, thanks, mate, and thanks for agreeing to come back on. Obviously, Mitch and Haz with us.
Gode, how you going?
Yep.
Yeah, good. Must be running short on guests again.
Yeah, obviously, just a bit nice to break up our voice sometimes, Genghis, and especially, obviously, given that you're on your Pat Malone at the moment, I thought it might be a great use of your time.
Yeah, it was just me and the dog at home. Little fella's back with his grandparents, and the bride's going to pick him up. So, like I said, it's just me and the dog.
Outstanding.
Me and the dog at home today.
Well, we did want to ask you, actually, Genghis, because I'm sure that's something that lots of people out there could resonate with. How has life been during isolation with a 2-year-old?
Well, I know what you're expecting me to say. Nightmare, can't get out of the house, blah, 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 blah. But he's actually been a little firecracker, actually. We've had a great time the last couple of months. So, I don't know. What else can you do? Lots of walks. We built him a cubby house, actually. My father-in-law built him a cubby house in the backyard. So
that's right.
It's actually been a nice place for me to sort of hide and have a couple of really quiet beers down with in the afternoon. So it's actually been. We haven't really changed too much. Obviously, doing a bit of work from home and all that sort of carry on. But it's been good.
Yeah, outstanding. Does Dom join you in the cubby house for the beers, or we wait until he's 3 for that?
Yeah, no, he knows what beers are. It's nearly to the stage where he can nearly get me one out of the back fridge. But well, like I said, I'll take him down in the afternoon. We'll have an afternoon settler and watch him run around the sandpit, all that type of stuff. So it's good.
Outstanding. Perfect. And Genghis, if you were, I know we've spoken about the fact on the podcast before. I do actually lose track of some of the things we have spoken about and some of the things we haven't. But given that you've obviously been on so many times now, but we've mentioned sort of your affiliation with craft beers, the fact that you used to hate them and were pretty big on sort of vodka martinis back in the day, and
not once have I had that.
That does not ring a bell.
And transition to beers, but you are quite a craft beer lover. So, what would you be recommending for those people that are at home in their isolation times, missing pubs?
Well, I mean, I could run you through my back fridge if you like. There's a good variety in there right now. Range Brewing, actually. Shout out to Mitch and the boys and girls at Range Brewing. They just had their second birthday, so I've got a hand on their samplers. They've got a few IPAs and East Coast IPAs. There's a triple IPA which I can't wait to crack open.
That's good. I actually thought you were giving us a rundown on the weather conditions for tomorrow. That rain was brewing, but apparently not.
Apparently it's pissing down. Apparently, but what else have I got? I've got Bolter's new one in the back fridge. I've got a couple from Green Beacon, Garage Project, a New Zealand brewery from Wellington. All good beers. Lockie Pfeffer actually left the Stone Wood over here the other night, which is surprising. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Anything which is hazy and more than 6% alcohol is generally my go-to.
Okay. We'll have to go into Alchemy Australia and get them to make some beers. Surely next on the priority list for them.
Over there. Yeah, absolutely. And then Gode happy to sample, I'm sure you would think. Has been probably not your particular cup of tea, that is it, for want of a better term.
I can't contribute too much to this conversation. No.
No,
sorry
and
about that.
they're a bit expensive for you too, Has.
That's it, definitely.
Yeah. Was that a little swipe at Lockie Pfeffer being a potential TOAT nomination there as well, King?
Oh, look, he's not bad, Beth. He's a quiet one, but no, he's all good. He's not in the same realms as maybe a couple of other people.
I must be the only wicket keeper you know that's really generous with their money.
Oh. You finished. You did a 9-year uni degree, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm unfortunately got 180 grand worth of HEC debt that I'm trying to get rid of. So.
Yeah, that's great. You eat more food than my house than I have. So, but no. Fef popped around with Jess the other night. They had a little, we had a little fire and barbecue, and he brought some beers over the night. So yeah, like I said, I think there's one stone and wood left out of a 12-pack, so we gave it a bit of a nudge, which was good.
Outstanding. And Gigas, obviously it does mean that you haven't been able to go out for any dinners, which is a real shame because I actually have a story for the boys. I haven't got to tell them yet, so I'm hoping that I've been storing this one up, not on purpose, but just sort of speaking to you reminded me of it tonight. But one time that I have been for dinner with you in recent times was quite one of the greatest stories I've heard. So we've had a day in the second 11 game here, boys, where we're in Adelaide. We did some serious time in the dirt, Gingus, didn't we? Like the full first day.
We did.
And it was like flat, and there wasn't a huge hurry on, so there were parts where it was quite monotonous. So we've done a long day in the dirt, and then finally on the 2 days really. Finally on the second day, we got to finally have a bat. Gingus, what number were you batting?
I was at Michelle Pfeiffer, I think. I think it was 5.
Yeah, you were. Okay, yep. So Gingus comes in at 5. Unfortunate wicket in the second last over of the day. Gingus has to go out and face the last 8 balls of the day. Right. Successfully battles his way through those 8 balls. He's on 2 not out. Great 2. And myself, Baisley, and Gingus have decided that we'll go for dinner at the Jamie Oliver restaurant.
Skinner, Jamie's Italian.
Yeah, Jamie's Italian, which you'd be a massive fan of pre-vegan days.
Yeah, correct.
They were very good. So we were quite excited about this. And as we sort of walked in, the lady has come to us and said, like, "Hey guys, where would you like to sit?" Giving us a little bit. There wasn't an overwhelming number of people, so we had quite options open. And the group that was already in there was just like probably a group of 10 to 12 ladies. And for some reason, like they all just sort of went into like this big just rapture of thunderous applause. And no one had any idea why. Okay. And Gingus were just all... So me, Baisley, and Gingus sort of like looking over and going, what the heck's going on? And they all stopped clapping. Gingus goes, "Guys, please, I'm only 2 not out."
No.
And the best part was that the lady that was serving us, remember Gingus, she just thought we were the biggest tools of all time.
Yeah.
Any reaction from the group?
She's the only one, obviously, too.
Yeah, that's right.
They didn't hear us, I don't think, but Faye's got a bit of a rundown of some really good gear, and I'm sure that poor waitress probably has had better nights than serving the 3 of us, or the 2 of us anyway.
Yeah, we then traded cheese puns when she brought out the parmesan for the next couple of minutes as well. So it's a very entertaining night. Gingus went on to go 100 the next day, so obviously that's the catalyst for any.
That must have been it.
Yeah,
that must have been it.
Any aspiring cricketers out there, make sure you get there, tell a couple of jokes.
Yeah, make sure you have a heavy pasta and 4 schooners before you go to that.
Carb loading. Perfect.
I may as well just keep the questions coming here, Gingus, I guess, and give you material to respond to.
Sure.
We've spoken about isolation a little bit, and you would be aware because you're such a huge follower of We Got the Chocolates podcast. You cross all our social media streams as well, Instagram, TikTok, which you're big on.
Yep. That's me.
YouTube, Facebook, etc. You would have seen at one point there, Gingus, when I sort of gave you a little bit of a rap, but then managed to include the Alfoil House post in there as well. You remember that one?
Yep. I do, vividly.
Good. One of the great days. Isolation, has it brought out any of your crafty best? I mean, we're going back sort of 7 or 8 years, but you were one of the great pranksters I've ever seen. Have you managed to rekindle your love for pranks?
Not really, because let me put it this way. If you prank the wife, right, like what possibly good could you get out of that? You know what I'm saying? So,
well, knowing your wife, I'm thinking not a lot.
No, not really. I'd give her a good old-fashioned listening to for a couple of days. That's for sure. No, so not really. There's not a lot of great, I guess, material to work with, really. I have to wait till I get back to work and prank a couple of the 80-year-old ladies.
Oh, yeah, I would definitely appreciate it. What are some of your great pranking memories, Gingus, that probably involve one Carlos Jack Leach, you would think?
Leachy was an easy target, and we've spoken about Leachy a little bit. I guess probably the main one was we broke into his house one day. This was a daytime too. This wasn't a nighttime. We normally save our best for night, where we'd sort of rock up at about 11 o'clock, lob rocks on his roof, and then when he'd ring us, we'd pretend to be asleep.
Or,
hey, mate.
Or like at the petrol station.
Yeah, hey, mate, I'm just at the petrol station. What's going on? But this was daytime. Might have even been like a Sunday or something like that. We snuck into his house again. And then he sort of, I think heard us and was sort of panicking a little bit as per usual. And then I lobbed a stress ball sort of through the railings of the stairs just to try and make a noise, but it was just unfortunate. He was walking past at the time, which I didn't know, and it hit him in the temple, only to be, I guess, where are you? Was the only thing. And then so we had to give ourselves up there because we couldn't stop laughing for about 3 years. So.
We were rolling down the stairs. The best part was that he'd been so conditioned over the 2 months prior to us breaking in every single Thursday night that he was just so conditioned that as soon as anything went wrong in the house, he just knew that it was us.
You'd think he'd learn to lock the doors and windows eventually, but
I think he tried.
He slept with a cricket bat, and not for the love of cricket.
No, definitely not. He was just very, very concerned.
Perfect. And Gang, since you follow us so closely on social media, you might have seen a little post about some anti-vaxxers particularly in the NRL recently, which I know you follow the NRL. I was wondering if you had any sort of sharp words for anyone out there, or what side of the fence you sit on in the anti-vaxxing debate.
Well, I think it's a pretty obvious one, really, isn't it? Like, they have 46 tattoos, but don't want to put a needle in their arm to save, I guess, the game. Otherwise, they can't get back playing, and their kids and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, each their own. Like, everyone's got their own opinion. I get that, and it's far for me to judge. But I mean, surely that's a pretty straightforward one. I don't know. How do you have an opinion on something that really isn't opinion worthy? Shouldn't be straight down the line. That's my opinion anyway. But each their own, I guess.
Yeah, no, well, I agree. I was just hoping you would put it in such fine words as you do, and you've delivered, so thank you.
You can maybe edit the cocaine bit out, possibly, but anyway.
Yeah, or edit it in.
Or edit it in twice. Make a song into
just duplicate layers.
Yeah. You could probably turn that into a song, couldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. How's is scribing as we go. We haven't heard from him for a while. He's just penning a new chorus.
It's been too long since we did a song.
We've got some parodies ready to go too. We just need some sport back on so we can sing them.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. You can't exactly do parody songs of Chinese ping pong, can you?
No. Well, actually, we did one. We have done one by the Ting Tings, isn't it?
Yeah, that's ready to go.
Yeah. so that's probably up there, ready to go.
While we were talking about rugby league, we probably should ask you, Gingus, with NRL coming back soon, how are you placed for Supercoach with the season starting back up?
He rates himself very highly, Gingus, in Supercoach.
Well, it's not even the rate; it's factually correctly. Last 2 years I haven't missed the top 1,000 in the last 2 years, and I don't think I'll be missing again this year.
We've only played 2 rounds.
Yeah, but I'm well aware that I'll probably end up in the top 1,000. And again, I'm happy to bet large sums of money that I do. So, yeah, if that's fair enough. No, it's sitting well. I must admit, I'm chomping at a bit for it to get back on. I guess like the rest of it, any sport really. But the footy, I mean, winter in Australia's footy, isn't it? You know, I mean, whether it be AFL or rugby league. So I'm waiting eagerly, and I can't wait to watch all 8 matches that first weekend back. To be honest. Should be good.
Great news that they've changed the trades for the first round, where you can make 5 trades now, and haven't actually lost any in total. So it's going to be trades galore, and no state of origin rounds to worry about your trades with either.
I see. This is where I guess we'll disagree. Agree to disagree. I actually don't like that because I think it rewards mediocrity. That's my opinion. So,
yeah, I do agree. Right. I do agree. I mean, I probably think for the betterment of the game, it's not a great idea, but it does make your lips lick when you lick your lips. Should I say?
Oh, jeez. There's a lot of licking going on there.
That's quite sexual, hasn't it?
I don't usually associate you with just bulk sexual chat, but brought it in. I like the extra string you've added to your bow.
No, I would have been happy for less trades and smaller for this particular round because it actually reward people that started well and sort of knew what they were doing. But I mean, I see what they're doing because obviously, you know, there's going to be a shitload of people affected by this. You know, people like the anti-vaxxers might not be playing. People come back from injuries, so like people, I guess, plan for injuries and plan around injuries. I actually quite like the bye period around Origin and the last few years. That's where I've made up, you know, a lot of ground on people because I planned for it, but obviously that's not going to be there. So I think I see what they're doing, but I don't like it personally just because I think, like I said, it rewards people that have started poorly. All of a sudden they can catch up a lot easier than possibly what they could. But anyway, shit happens.
Do you think that'll make it harder for you to end up in the top 1,000 then? Like if there are suddenly a lot of people doing better?
Probably not, Skin, I'll be honest.
Oh, right. Still backing yourself. Good.
I think the only player that's missing for me now is David Fafita that I'm going to have to trade out. But other than that, I'll be able to use the other 4 trades on a few cash cows. And, you know, like me, I'm not really searching for points, I think, which is probably a poor thing in terms of the game. I'm more looking to make cash.
I was going to use searching for money again, eh?
Yeah, that's me, searching for money. So that's what I do in Supercoach as well.
What injury did David have? Why is he David for putting the feet up?
He got his meniscus cleaned out.
Oh,
so he's missing the first couple of weeks. But no, I've made my 5 trades at this point. I'm just waiting on 1 or 2 more things to see what happens. I've got Fafita in there yet. I'm hoping he sort of comes back early, but if not, I'll have to change one of them. But I won't reveal too much.
Genghis, I only just I really asked that question just so you could hear my pun and you didn't hear it. So I'm just going to say it one more time.
Up, I got it.
Okay,
no, I got it. No.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I got it.
I just don't think you get it sometimes, Genghis. That's the real issue.
It just gives you the reaction it deserves.
It's me that doesn't get it. That's
it. Oh, outstanding. Oh, well, Genghis, as per usual, this is one of the better chats that we'll ever have. And it just so happened to be on the microphones as well. What a pleasure.
No, well, it was good. Well, I actually share a bit in common with, like, you've had a couple of good guests on recently, hey? John Millman. Holy, that's a good grab, that, hey?
Fantastic, actually. Is a belter. Very good, tennis player.
We actually share something in common. So he beat Roger Federer at the US Open, and like him, I've never lost to Roger Federer in tennis. So it's Lee, have you ever beaten me in tennis?
Was there that one time that slips the memory? I think I may have gone down.
Nah.
Did I? Or
no, I don't think you've ever actually won a set.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds more likely. It was quite difficult when I kept getting lobbed 3 times per game.
Yeah, but don't worry, she's still just learning.
We probably need to give you some context of that joke as well. I'll quickly summarise. Myself, Genghis, Kathleen, Ginghis's wife, all playing tennis. I've framed one over the fence. Me and Genghis at this point had actually been playing a bit of tennis. Kathleen was trying to learn. Genghis hits it to me. I frame it over the fence into the next person's court, interrupt their very serious game. And when they looked over staring at me, I said, "Oh no, sorry guys, she's just learning." Gingus, as per usual, we appreciate your time, mate. Say goodbye to everyone.
Nah, thank you, boys. Thanks for having me again. I'll see you in a couple of weeks when you run out of guests again.
Correct. Thanks, mate. Bye. Gingus.
Yo.
We had to bring you back because there was another question that I obviously forgot to ask you.
Oh, okay.
Some of the great organisation. Well, I was just going to...
well done, everyone.
There's really only one person that can be blamed for that. Skinnell.
Yeah, definitely. Well done, Has. Good job.
No, we were going to ask you, Gingus, because we know we've had you. You're a big fan of sort of some Eddie Betts. And Skinnell obviously has banned horse racing chat. But one came across my desk today that I feel like you might actually be appreciative of. Now you can't hear this. You can't hear this little hilarious background graphic that I'm playing here, the background sound. But it's actually just some audio of a Scott Morrison presser.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're wondering from you is your novelty bet for Sco Mo's first word at the next press conference that he holds. We've got some of the odds in front of us here. Have you had a chance to peruse? Is that one that you're all over?
I'm well versed. I must admit, I'm a regular to the sports bet website. Don't know why. It just sort of keeps accidentally opening on my screen. I don't know why. Look, I mean, obviously good is hard to beat. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all that type of stuff. But I was having a little scroll down. You could do worse things than chucking a little rock lobster on right, righty, righto, or rightio at $51. Like, you know, you start like right. Good morning, everyone. Well, right's still the first word, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, there's a few word ones. Yeah. Aloha, Jesus Christ, 201. No, thanks.
You won't be having a flutter there, Gingus.
No.
Do you reckon Sco Mo's looking at this list and trying to pick a word that's not on the list, or picking one that's right?
I reckon he's more likely to be looking possibly. I don't think he is, but if he was, he'd be silly not to have a little nibble at his tie colour. I mean, that's easily fixed, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like there's only X amount of. But I mean, you must admit, he would look quite silly, sort of walking out in an orange tie at 21-1.
Yeah. Or
at 51-1, he wears a bow tie, like he's going to a school formal.
That would be outstanding. Has any Prime Minister ever been done for match fixing before, Gingus?
I would not have thought so. But I'd hope not.
It could be the first. I've actually got a transcript here from the 14th of May, 2020. So not that long ago, his last presser started with
4 days ago.
Yeah, he started with this.
This?
Yeah, what's this paying?
Hold on.
This is paying $8.
That's firmed in $8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Market mover.
Market mover. But you're exactly right. We have heard a good afternoon was the other one, the one from the 15th of May.
There's a few good options there, isn't there?
Well, there's a welcome. There was a welcome in there on the 12th of May.
Yeah, welcome looks really good. $12. That looks not bad.
That's tasty at 12 as well.
Tomorrow. I don't like sup, what's up, and was up are quite poor, I'd imagine.
They're paying millions.
I can't see what context he's using.
How?
Yeah.
How? $67. You could have worse bets than that.
Yeah, well, if he comes in and says, how are you going, guys?
Yeah, chuck a little Pavarotti on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think with our TOAT segment running at the moment, we've figured out that about 98% of our listeners are tight asses. So I'm not sure any of them will actually be placing bets. Like myself,
no, but a couple of them might put $2 on Doona at 101 or something like that, which is outrageous.
Why though?
I can't think of any context that he would use Doona.
Doona.
I don't know how you even start a sentence like that.
No.
Nah. I'm struggling. Nothing at all. All right, Giggers.
Nothing.
So you're locking in.
Good.
What are you going on? You're locking in.
Look, I'll have something, right? I'll have a little something. I don't mind. What was it? Was it 50-1, wasn't it? Right.
Yep.
At 50-1.
Okay.
Or 51-1.
Yep.
And I'll have a virtual Pavarotti on that to win me 510.
Okay. Perfect. Love it.
Yeah.
Love what you've done. You're literally giving away life secrets here, Gingus, making people money.
Yeah, that's what I do, and not just my wife.
That's right. All right. Well, Gingus, might say goodbye to you for the second time and call you back soon.
No, righty. I'll speak to you after my shower.
No. See you, mate.
Bye.
Welcome back, guys. That was our chat with Andrew Gode. And as per usual, he does find a way to just be very, very eloquent with his words. Great to have him on for the third time. And a voice that you probably need to get used to hearing because we sort of seem to go to him just to break up our own voices because we always know he's going to have some sort of content to produce. I've got a confession to make, boys. I sort of wanted to say this at the time, but I felt like we moved on really quickly. I was actually the one that posted the Bryce Cartwright meme, but I also have not had the flu shot and hadn't really intended on getting it due to the fact that when I got it last year, it was the sickest I've ever been in my life with influenza. I don't know if they correlate, but I feel like if I'm getting something that's meant to stop me getting influenza and then I get influenza, that doesn't make me want to go back to the shops for more.
Lethal.
So I'm on Bryce's side.
Not you too.
No, not Bryce's side.
I really wish you gave Gode a chance to rebut that because I'm sure he would have done a better job than me. But no, I think you've got the wrong side there.
You definitely are not getting the flu from the flu shot is one thing. And once you get the
What's the flu shot meant to do then, though?
It gives you a weakened version of the virus or a dead version, and then your body knows how to kill it without you getting the symptoms. Right. But once you get it, you might not be actually immune for a couple of weeks after you get it until it gets through your system. I've heard. But yeah, you definitely can't get sick that badly from getting a flu shot.
Okay.
Not to mention the fact that just like one anecdotal piece of data from what happened to Lethal last year is not enough to rebut the entire scientific research that has been done on this and sort of come to a nice strong conclusion.
I was pretty strong with my conclusion.
And you can
rock up and get it.
You can still get sick after getting the flu shot, not because of the flu shot, but from something else. And you can still get the flu, but just a different strain of the flu.
I guess the one thing that maybe changed my mind today is that I did read somewhere that probably I've been slightly too individual with my look at it in the fact that it probably actually helps the rest of society as well, similar to sort of being isolated in coronavirus times. That you sort of need to buy into it, and I guess that's the reason for the Bryce Cartwright outrage is because it puts other people at risk as well.
Yeah, exactly. Sort of. I mean, the whole point of vaccinations is to build a nice little herd immunity, and that's sort of the whole blow up around the coronavirus is everyone's saying well, I don't mind going out and not social distancing because I'm young and I'm not going to die from coronavirus, but it's no one really cares about you. It's about the general population and not passing it on to people that are at risk of dying from it.
Right. Oh, no. See you down there tomorrow.
If you could be considerate of that, Lethal, that'd be greatly appreciated.
All right. I'll go and grab it.
Thanks.
You've changed my mind.
Well done.
Fantastic. Well, guys, that can only mean one thing, really. What a serious way to end. I liked it. It's good. We are back to wrapping up with a bit of best on ground chat. Any thoughts?
Oh, yeah. Well, thoughts are you've managed to evade it for another week.
Frick! This doesn't keep happening. Why? I thought I was very good.
You hung up on Gode before asking him the key question. And
that was building suspense. I'm the hype king.
Haz and I gave you the benefit of the doubt of we thought maybe it had run for too long and you didn't think we had time for that question, so we just let it play on and then realised you'd literally just forgotten to ask it.
You've certainly gone backwards on the buttons tonight. You had gotten better, but tonight hasn't been perfect.
There's been a lot more to do on the buttons tonight.
Yeah, that's
got to say, but I still don't think that's helping me.
Now, Mitch has said very little, probably one of the little as few as he's ever said, I'd say. But I think I'm voting for Mitch just because he's done such a lot of work. He's done so much work with the merchandise this week and getting the merchandise up and running for people to buy clothes. So
we've just had 7 more orders in the time that we've been recording, by the way.
Okay.
So I've just checked my phone and
that helps.
There is another one ready to go.
Mitch has built the hype. He's built the online store.
Yeah.
Thanks, Haz. I appreciate that.
Also got struck with a tennis ball quite hard yesterday for TikTok fame.
Yeah. And recovered and backed up with an episode tonight. So
that's right. Could have been ruled out with workers' comp.
Exactly.
No, very fair. I'll take that. So Mitch has got the votes. You're going to have to update that board. You didn't bring it over, but that's okay.
I'll get that.
It's been an exciting episode. Obviously, merchandise Mondays, as they're known. So we have run a little bit over time, but obviously, Haz, do you want to lead us through just the first part of the wrap up here?
Yeah, so if you enjoyed the show tonight, and even if you didn't, but hopefully you did, make sure you give us a rating and leave a comment wherever it is you listen to us, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever it is. And look, we don't care how much you spray us or slander us in the comments.
They're actually funny to read.
Yeah, but please give us a 5-star rating, because a 1-star rating just ruins our chances of making it up the podcast rankings and becoming relevant. So how about we do this? Leave us a 5-star rating, and then we will read the funniest comments that go along with those ratings on our next podcast episode. So jump on, give us a 5-star rating, throw plenty of banter in the comments, and we will search each platform for the best bands we've received.
Right. Outstanding. I reckon that's good. We can just read them out, and that's perfect. Because currently, probably in the podcast rankings, we're sitting about where Bridge is in terms of most exciting sports. So I'm going to try and get up there a little bit more.
Get to where they're sitting in the most boring sports.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. That'd be perfect. Okay. Well, and the other thing that you need to know about is the merchandise is available. Who knows for how much longer? I mean, they really are. Like, we've just seen 3 fly out the door without us even packing them. They are going like hotcakes. As you've heard, Skinnell's put on a clinic there. So please, guys, rep the merch for us. We'd love to see you in it. And obviously, take a photo with you wearing it as well, using a couple of the hashtags, wear the chocks and got the chocks. And we will definitely notice you on Instagram and be happy to repost any content that you're happy for us to use as well. That's about all we've got time for, guys. From all of us here at We Got the Chocolates headquarters, all 3, and the dog. Thank you very much for being with us on your Monday. Well, it won't be a Monday for you. That's a mare.
Thursday.
On your Thursday, midday, anywhere between Thursday and the following Thursday.
All the best.
That's a clinic. Well done, Lethal.
See you guys.